Thousands of people flocked to St. Peter's Basilica until the early hours of Thursday morning to see and pay their respect to the late Pope Francis.
At least 9 people were killed and dozens more injured after a massive Russian missile and drone attack on Kyiv.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky fired back after his U.S. counterpart Donald Trump accused him of prolonging the war by refusing to cede territory to Russia. Hundreds were injured after a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck the Sea of Marmara just 40 kilometers southeast of Turkey's biggest and most populous city, Istanbul. Thousands of people continued to make their way to St. Peter's Basilica until the early hours of Thursday morning to see and pay their respect to the late Pope Francis. Francis died aged 88 on Easter Monday after suffering a stroke and a heart failure. His health had rapidly deteriorated after he was hospitalized for several weeks battling a complex double pneumonia. The Vatican says nearly 20,000 people visited the pontiff on his first day of lying in state at the Basilica. They also announced that 9 days of mourning will commence from Saturday following his funeral. Meanwhile, the College of Cardinals met for a second day on Wednesday to discuss the next steps and prepare to begin the succession process.
On Wednesday, the body of Pope Francis was transferred to St. Peter's Basilica. Procession carrying his coffin entered the Vatican Basilica through the main entrance, the same route Pope Francis had taken to greet the crowd one last time on Easter Sunday. He will lie in state inside the Basilica for a total of 3 days. Here, mourners can pay their respects ahead of the funeral on Saturday. And even in death, with his decision to simplify funeral rites, Pope Francis broke with tradition. Meanwhile, as preparations for the funeral get underway, thousands of faithful will flock inside the Basilica to see the body of Pope Francis.
Lui ha voluto un funerale più austero, meno monarchico, se possiamo dirlo, no? Non si sarà... Cioè lui ha rinunciato a tante cose per dare l'immagine che il Papa, sì, è il Papa, ma non è un monarca.
I think it's a way to pay respect to a person that has shaped the Catholic Church, but also I would say a significant person in the whole world, right? As a voice in this, very complex world that we are living in, has been a clear voice, advocating for truth and for justice and nearness to all marginate and poor people.
Vederlo per me è dire grazie per quello che è stato e ricordare quello che mi ha chiesto di essere, un missionario tra la gente, per questo.
L'ultimo saluto. Noi siamo venuti a Natale che ha fatto la messa. A me mi emoziona ogni qualvolta che vedo Papa Francesco. C'è una cosa che uno sente dentro, con la sua semplicità, quindi è così.
Hundreds of foreign delegations are expected at the Vatican for Pope Francis's funeral on Saturday as part of Italy's security plan. Police are currently patrolling the streets around St. Peter's Basilica, where the Pope has been moved for 3 days of public mourning. On Saturday, thousands of Catholics as well as religious and political leaders from around the world are expected to attend his funeral. Security mechanisms including anti-drone weapons and a no-fly zone patrolled by fighter jets are currently being used across Rome and in the skies above the Italian capital. Pope Francis has broken tradition by asking not to be buried at the Vatican, but in a simple tomb at the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major, where he frequently prayed.
A massive Russian missile and drone attack struck Kyiv overnight, killing at least 9 and injuring dozens. More than 40 were hospitalized, including a pregnant woman and 6 children. Rescue crews searched through rubble as psychologists and search dogs were brought in.
Успіла вийти, як воно бабахнуло, де й немає нічого. Сусідній будинок то розбитий, а наш тільки повилітало все на світі, дивишся. А так я нічого не бачила, дивишся. Страшно.
Ніяка дипломатія тут не працює. Можна помітити це по кучі новин, по тих загиблих, те, що відбулося в Кривому Розі, і так далі, і так далі, і так далі. Путін це просто... Не можна підібрати слів, наскільки це потвора. Ну, просто їх немає.
Russia has repeatedly targeted Ukrainian cities with missiles and drones since its full-scale invasion began in 2022. Kyiv has seen a surge in attacks, many hitting civilian infrastructure.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has hit back at U.S. President Donald Trump's claims that he's prolonging the war. Earlier, Trump accused Zelensky of hindering peace efforts and prolonging the killing field for refusing to cede territory to Russia. The Ukrainian president has refused the premise of ceding land to the Kremlin as part of any peace initiative. In a post on X, Zelensky linked an old post by former U.S. Secretary of State under Trump's first term, Mike Pompeo, where the then top diplomat slammed Moscow's annexation of Crimea. Zelensky noted that his country will always act in the interest of its people and according to its constitution. He also added that he is sure allies, in particular Washington, will, quote, act in line with Kyiv's strong decisions. Trump says inflammatory comments by Zelensky are making it difficult to settle the war, adding that his Ukrainian counterpart has been more difficult to deal with than Russia.
Are you going to be meeting with President Zelensky?
I think we have a deal with Russia. We have to get a deal with Zelensky, and I hope that Zelensky, I thought it might be easier to deal with Zelensky. So far it's been harder, but that's okay.
The 47th U.S. president also slammed Zelensky and accused him of overconfidence and arrogance in his approach. Trump said Zelensky has nothing to boast about, warning that if he doesn't strike a deal now, he may lose his whole country in 3 years. More than 200 people were injured as a magnitude 6.2 earthquake struck northwestern Turkey. The tremor struck in the Sea of Marmara about 40 kilometers southwest of Turkey's most populous city, Istanbul. The quake lasted roughly 13 seconds and was followed by more than 100 aftershocks, the strongest measuring in at 5.9. Residents of Istanbul reacted quickly, leaving their homes and buildings.
Ben de evimdeydim aynı şekilde. Hatta uzanmış televizyon seyrediyordum. Ben bir anda hissettim fakat çocuklar tedirgin olmasın diye kıpırdamadım yerimden. Fakat bir baktım odadan kızım çıktı falan, baba deprem oluyor, hatta ayaklarım titriyor falan dedi. Giyinmeye başladık falan, yanımıza alabileceğimiz eşyalarımızı aldık. Çıktık geldik buradayız yani.
Authorities say the damage to the city was minimal, with only one old building having collapsed. Istanbul is a high-risk city for earthquakes due to two major fault lines crossing Turkey. Experts say the city has a 64% chance of experiencing an at least magnitude 7 quake by the year 2030. The last major tremor to hit the country struck in the southeast in February 2023, killing more than 50,000 people.
Protesters have taken to the streets in New Delhi after an attack in Kashmir on Tuesday which killed at least 26 people, most of them tourists. India blames Pakistan for the attack and has shut its main border crossing connecting the two countries. But Pakistan denies any involvement in the shooting, which was claimed by a previously unknown militant group named Kashmir Resistance.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk said he will scale back his involvement in US government affairs and devote more time to the electric vehicle maker after the company reported a steep drop in profits. Musk told analysts that his time spent on the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, would drop to a day or two per week.
and should be correct.
He added that the major work of establishing Doge is done.
We will make mistakes, but we'll...
Tesla struggled to sell vehicles as it faced angry protests over Musk's increasing involvement in politics. The company warned investors that changing political sentiment and rapidly evolving trade policy could have a meaningful impact on demand for its product in the near term. Musk, who has donated more than $250 million to Trump's re-election campaign, has faced global protests and calls to boycott Tesla.
Harvey Weinstein is back on trial after his original Me Too case 5 years ago. The case is being retried because New York's highest court threw out Weinstein's landmark 2020 rape conviction. At the time, they found the trial judge had unfairly allowed testimony against Weinstein based on allegations that weren't part of the case. The movie mogul was one of Hollywood's most powerful figures. Prosecutor Shannon Lucy said he used dream opportunities as weapons to prey on the 3 accusers in the case. He is charged with raping 1 woman and forcing oral sex on 2 others. Weinstein's retrial is playing out at a different cultural moment than the first, which happened during the height of the Me Too movement. The case also features some different people. There is a new judge and the jury counts 7 women and 5 men this time. Weinstein has pleaded not guilty and denies raping or sexually assaulting anyone.